slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do is so instinctive, it's passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative.
Silent but ruthless, wild boars ravage fields across the land, leaving behind churned-up soil, destroyed crops, and a constant sense of unease among farmers. Day or night, it makes no difference. The more they're driven out, the more aggressive they become. In this uneven battle, helicopters are the only weapon fast and agile enough to keep up with these cunning beasts. From above, we gain a full view of the terrain and the ability to act swiftly, decisively, and more effectively than ever. When the rotors start spinning, that's when the real chase begins. The roar of the helicopter engines shattered the usual stillness of the countryside. Below, the signs of destruction became unmistakably clear: ripped up fields, strange patches of earth, and all the telltale traces of devastation. At the edge of a clearing, a herd of wild boars had begun to gather, silently preparing to move again. Without hesitation, the pilot dropped altitude, maneuvering the chopper low over the open ground. The pursuit had begun. Tyler, one of our most experienced marksmen, wasted no time. He aimed carefully and pulled the trigger. A burst of gunfire echoed across the fields, sweeping from the edges deep into the center. In mere seconds, a precise and ruthless salvo was unleashed, fast, deliberate, and on target. Meanwhile, a second helicopter piloted by Carter circled above, scanning for movement within the herd below. The thunder of the rotors echoed across the skies as the wild boars scattered in panic, desperately searching for a way to escape. Inside the cockpit, Carter gripped his rifle tightly, eyes locked onto the targets darting through the chaos. He steadied his breath, took aim, and fired. The gun roared, and the bullets tore through the air, ending the threat to the crops in an instant.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything.
The boars were fast, but Carter never wavered. He kept pursuing, dropping them one by one with chilling precision. Elsewhere, my team and I were advancing toward a densely wooded area. This time, I was responsible for delivering the primary fire support. The pilot lowered the helicopter to give me a clearer line of sight. I gripped my rifle and opened fire. Bullets screamed through the air, striking the natural cover the boars tried to use. It was a relentless pursuit, swift, powerful, and ruthlessly efficient. Within minutes, the boars regrouped and charged again. We immediately repositioned the helicopter, preparing for another strike. The pilot closed in, narrowing the distance. The herd twisted and turned, slipping behind low brush and terrain, making precise targeting more difficult. Still, our shooters remained calm. With seasoned coordination between pilot and marksman, we closed in and opened fire in unison. A chorus of gunfire erupted. One by one, the boars fell. The ambush ended as quickly as it began. The field fell quiet once more, but the scars of destruction remained. Another group of boars had clustered nearby. As usual, we moved in. The roar of the rotors sent tremors through the sky. Startled, the herd scattered in panic. But this time, there would be no escape. From above, we struck, clean, decisive shots. No hesitation, no mercy. Within minutes, the herd lay still across the freshly harvested land. The helicopter banked for one final approach, closing in on the last remaining target. The final shots rang out, tearing through the open air. As the dust settled, the only thing left behind were the massive, unmoving shadows scattered across the barren field. The hunt from above was over, brutal, but precise and effective. Our destination this time was a vast swamp. Many might ask, why choose such a treacherous place? The reason is simple: the swamp provides abundant food sources, making it a paradise for wild hogs. The harsh terrain discourages many hunters, and that very hesitation has allowed these animals to thrive, becoming a major threat to nearby farmlands. The motorboat roared, cutting swiftly through the murky water. On board, the group was tense and fully focused. Our target today was a feral hog sounder notorious for raiding farms and destroying crops time and again. After a while of searching, the engine's noise startled the herd. They panicked and bolted. Immediately, the boat surged forward, chasing their fleeing shadows. Gunfire erupted. One hog was hit but kept running, forcing us to fire several more shots before it collapsed into the muddy water. The rest scattered at breakneck speed, disappearing into the dense brush. We patiently followed their trail. Once the targets came into sight, gunfire echoed relentlessly, sending the hogs fleeing in terror. Bursting out of the undergrowth, they scattered in all directions. The trap was closing in, leaving them no escape. A series of shots rang out. One mature hog was struck, let out a cry, and fell to the ground. Farther ahead, another group of hogs was still busy foraging, unaware they had walked straight into an ambush. Wasting no time, we raised our rifles and took aim. In just a moment, 2 hogs had fallen. We pressed deeper into the swamp, this time opting for a different tactic, trapping rather than chasing. At a chosen site, we quickly set up a strong net trap and spread around the bait that hogs love most. The atmosphere grew tense. Everyone kept silent, the stillness broken only by the chirping of insects echoing across the swamp. After a long wait, familiar dark shapes emerged, drawn in by the irresistible scent of food. Step by step, they moved closer. And then, in an instant the trap snapped shut. The entire herd was caught in the steel mesh. This ambush yielded a massive catch, all without the exhausting high-speed chases of before. Meanwhile, in another vast forest, a different hunting team was in hot pursuit of a herd of mature hogs on the run. Each gunshot dropped another target. Yet, the hunt was far from over. While keeping watch, Ethan suddenly spotted a hog hiding in the brush. Sensing danger, it burst out, charging like a bolt of lightning. Without hesitation, he fired a single shot, ending its escape instantly. The forest erupted into chaos, making the pursuit even harder. Just minutes later, a massive hog weighing nearly 150 kilograms appeared in the sights. Seizing the opportunity, Jake pulled the trigger without a second thought. One clean shot, and the beast went down. We continued roaming the vast, mysterious swamp. Every sense was on high alert, straining to catch the faintest sound, ready to fire at any moment. By the end of the long day, the tally was impressive. Many hogs had been taken down, most of them full-grown adults weighing hundreds of pounds. It was truly a hunt full of challenges, but the results exceeded all expectations. Wild boars are no longer afraid of humans. They've become smarter, bolder, and more dangerous than ever before. Some have even started wandering into farmland near residential areas at night, scavenging for food. Our hunts aren't about trophies, they're about preventing things from spiraling out of control. And today's trip to Texas is no exception. We're stepping into another pursuit, one where skill, focus, and sheer courage will determine everything. As usual, we split into two teams. The scouting group leads with the hounds, tracking signs and locating the target. Meanwhile, the ambush team sets up at key choke points, ready to act the moment a boar steps into view. Roughly 15 minutes in, the ambush group receives the signal. Everyone moves into position. A small boar bursts out from a thick bush. Blake, stationed at the center, raises his rifle the moment of truth. The first shot cracks through the air. Taken by surprise, the boar drops immediately, never getting the chance to react. To expand our control over the area, we spread out, setting up at various vantage points. I chose a high blind, overlooking a tranquil stretch of dense forest. Below me, another wild boar appeared. It moved fast, but I had anticipated its path. I raised my rifle, steadied my breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the woods clean and precise. Within seconds, it was down. Earlier, the scouts had carefully surveyed the terrain and identified the boar's frequent trails. We established fixed ambush points and waited patiently. Wild boars don't see as sharply as deer, but their sensitivity to motion is uncanny. Staying still was absolutely critical. Sure enough, one approached just 6 meters away before it sensed something was wrong. But it was too late. Without hesitation, Blake fired from close range. The bullet hit its mark. The boar collapsed onto the dry leaves, motionless. After the morning ambush, the forest grew eerily silent. We couldn't hold our positions much longer, so we decided to push deeper into the brush prime territory for wild boars. Suddenly, a sharp rustle snapped to my right. Instinct kicked in. I swung my rifle, tracked the movement, and fired. "2 seconds, that's all it took. But it was enough to bring the animal down, right in the heart of its domain. The thrill of that moment was unlike anything else. With a new signal from the scouts, we regrouped at the pre-planned ambush zone. We fanned out, cutting off every possible escape route. Thanks to tight coordination and a flawless execution, the boar herd barely stood a chance. Within 15 minutes, several more were taken down. As daylight began to fade, the pressure only intensified. Suddenly, Blake spotted a group weaving through dense tree cover.
What? Go.
One boar broke away, trying to slip across a clearing unaware it had stepped into a kill zone. I stepped forward from the trail's edge, raised my rifle, and fired. It dropped instantly, the final act of a long, grueling day in the rugged wilds of the Texas Panhandle. If this story gripped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next thrilling expedition. We'll be back with even more intense, deeper, and unexpected pursuits. Thanks for riding with us. These wild creatures no longer hide like they used to. They've become bold, aggressive, and more defiant than ever. With razor-sharp tusks, they tear through farmlands, destroying crops that farmers have nurtured with sweat and toil. Deep in the forest, they vanish into the undergrowth, daring anyone brave enough to follow their trail. And so, when the destruction went too far, we hunters who never back down set out into the wild. In our world, even a moment of carelessness can come at a steep cost. Where will this hunt lead? If you have the courage, walk with us and face the wild boars lurking in the shadows. Fully armed and loaded, our group led by Marcus was ready to venture deeper into the woods. These cunning beasts never show themselves in predictable ways. But with hard-earned experience, we were prepared, even as the first rays of sunlight broke through the forest canopy. We began tracking their trail, scanning every bush and shadow to determine the herd's direction. Suddenly, a wild boar burst into view. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and adjusted to its movement. The shot rang out. The bullet struck true. The beast dropped instantly, never taking another step. We swiftly moved to another location where rustling had just been heard from the dense underbrush. As we arrived, another herd of boars came charging out in panic. I immediately took aim and fired. The bullet shot like lightning, hit its mark, and dropped them as they staggered. Following the trail deeper, we pushed forward. Then, out of nowhere, a massive boar charged straight at me. No time to think. I lifted my rifle, tracked its path, and waited. When it was just meters away, I pulled the trigger. The first shot hit its leg, causing it to stumble. But it kept trying to escape. I squeezed the trigger again this time, a clean finish. The beast fell for good. From the direction of the swamp, the barking of our hounds echoed. I rushed toward the sound. The closer I got, the clearer the terrified squeals of another boar hiding in thick brush became. I gripped my rifle tightly, my heartbeat quickening. Behind the foliage, large silhouettes moved the rest of the herd. I didn't hesitate. I took aim and fired. Panic erupted. The herd scattered in all directions. I spun around and brought down another one with a sharp, decisive shot. Not wasting the opportunity, I fired 2 more rounds at the retreating shadows. But they missed. The targets had vanished too quickly. Suddenly, one more boar darted between the trees, charging wildly through the woods. I steadied myself, chambered around, and fired. The bullet hit clean. It dropped on the spot, never making it far. We pressed on, determined to finish off the remaining beasts. Before the sun could dip completely behind the trees, this hunt had to end, otherwise, the wild boars would resume their rampage. I spotted one sneaking ahead. Instinctively, I took cover, holding my rifle steady, eyes locked on the target.
J'hésite un peu trop et mon voisin saisit sa chance.
I waited for the perfect moment, then fired. The shot landed true. The boar collapsed instantly. This time, we claimed victory. Not just in numbers, but because we had protected the land, the crops, and the hope of farmers who had been pushed to the brink. But for hunters like us, the story never ends there. Somewhere in the deep woods, another rustle stirs. The hunt continues. Deep in the Ocala forest, the echoing roars of wild beasts resounded like a challenge. They rampaged through the farmlands, tearing up the soil and destroying crops before vanishing into their hidden lairs. Against such force, farmers could only stand helpless. But the hunters were ready to step in, determined to protect every inch of land from those sharp tusks. In this battle, who would claim the upper hand? The hunting team, Marksmen United, had gathered early. Their truck thundered down the road leading into the forest. Soon, the area was tightly encircled, leaving no escape. Every step was deliberate, scanning each bush with caution. It didn't take long before a massive boar appeared. Without warning, it charged straight at Ethan. A gunshot cracked through the air, dropping the beast just a few meters away. A perfect start to the hunt. But Ethan didn't stop. He pressed deeper into the woods, eyes sharp, sweeping across every gap. 10 minutes passed, his body still, senses locked in. Then, from the brush, 2 more hogs emerged. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle. A cold shot rang out. One of the beasts slid down, lifeless among the trees. Before he could lower his gun, a strange sound drew his attention. Through the scope, he caught sight of 3 shadows weaving silently between the trees. In a split second, the rifle roared again, and each of the hogs fell to the ground. Every movement precise, seamless, was like a perfect blend of patience and speed. Meanwhile, from another vantage point, Ryan the team sniper was scanning with a state-of-the-art scope. Through his lens, the world appeared crystal clear, as if only steps away, though the real distance stretched hundreds of meters. On the opposite ridge, familiar shapes stirred. Ryan adjusted, each action swift and exact. In a blink, his rifle cracked, another flawless victory etched into the hunt. Not long after, from his new cover, Ethan faced yet another boar charging straight toward him. He steadied his aim and squeezed the trigger. The sharp report echoed, and the beast collapsed instantly. Another threat eliminated. A faint smile crept onto his lips. Yet before he could take another step, another shadow darted into view. The boars here were cunning. They rarely ran straight, instead weaving, plunging into the brush to evade a hunter's flank. But for a seasoned marksman like Ethan, it was no obstacle. One shot was all it took. The beast dropped the moment it broke cover. Elsewhere in the forest, Noah the quiet observer was keeping watch. Suddenly, a wild hog burst across his path. The thought of ruined sweet potato fields flashed in his mind, fueling his resolve. He tightened his grip, adjusted his sight, and pulled the trigger. The rifle thundered, and the boar crashed down, its arrogant foraging cut short. That final shot marked the close of today's hunt. The number of hogs taken down was enough to spare the fields for now. Yet we all knew this was not the end. With their explosive breeding rate, the battle between hunters and wild hogs was far from over. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next thrilling hunt. Wild boars, beasts with tusks sharp as razors, have torn through Texas farmland, ravaging fields and destroying crops, causing thousands of dollars in damage in just one night. Farmers here are running out of options. They've tried everything: traps, poison, electric fences. Nothing works. In the end, they had only one choice left: to call us, the hunters willing to face danger head-on. The hunt for these tireless destroyers began in silence. Hoof prints etched deep into the soil, trampled grass, clear signs left behind by these monsters. They feared nothing, tearing through everything in their path. We followed the trail, silently stepping into the cold darkness, waiting for the moment our prey would appear. A pale moonlight lit up the field, giving us a clearer view as we stayed hidden in the night. Then we saw them, a herd of wild boars casually foraging in the dark, completely unaware. Anger surged within me. I gripped my rifle tightly, locked onto the biggest one, and pulled the trigger. The shot landed, but the boar managed to dash into a nearby thicket. I immediately released the hunting dog to track it. Pushing through thick brush, we pressed deeper into the dark until we found it collapsed on the ground. The chase was over. We moved on through the blackness of the night. Suddenly, I heard a faint rustling in the bushes ahead. Without hesitation, I raised my infrared binoculars, cutting through the ink-like dark. There it was, the shape of a wild boar moving steadily. I steadied my hand, took aim, and fired. The gunshot rang out. In an instant, the boar dropped, unable to escape. The night grew darker, the cold cutting deeper. But that was precisely when the wild boars came in greater numbers, moving in herds through the thick darkness. We moved in quickly, determined to take down as many as possible. I locked onto a moving target and fired. A clean, swift shot dropped it instantly. Chaos allowed the others to flee into the forest. I told myself next time, they wouldn't get away so easily. Receiving a signal from the team, we moved to another field being overrun by a herd of feral boars. This time, Jan took the lead, and he didn't disappoint. With pinpoint precision, he brought down boar after boar. From those hiding deep in the brush to the one sprinting along the field's edge, none escaped. The wild boar population in this area was massive. Some were even bold enough to break into livestock pens. After hours of pursuit and shooting, we had taken out a fair number, but it was nothing compared to what we had been warned about. The entire team had to constantly reposition. This hunt was far from over. Through the thermal scope, I spotted several large black boars moving slowly along the forest's edge. More and more emerged, spilling out from the woods in search of food. From over 100 meters away, I adjusted my position, found the perfect angle, and locked onto the biggest one. A precise shot dropped it on the spot. The rest panicked and scattered back into the forest. We continued sweeping the area, chasing down those that had escaped. Following the trail deeper into the woods, we suddenly came across another herd, calmly grazing on a patch of grass. We raised our rifles and locked on. In a brief, decisive moment, the gunfire cracked through the night, bringing an intense and breathless night hunt to a close. Behind the enchanting beauty of a Texas sunrise lies the silent plea of farmers' people, haunted day and night by the devastation caused by wild hogs. These fierce creatures are more than just a nuisance. They can turn fertile fields into barren wastelands overnight. For us, every hunt is not merely an adventure, it is a mission of honor, to protect the labor of an entire community and safeguard its peace. This morning, before the sun had fully risen over the ridges, our team set out once again. The tranquil air of harvest season lingered in the misty dawn, beautiful yet heavy with concern. After a brief strategy discussion, we split up, taking positions at the usual spots, places where wild hogs often roam. And then, the moment arrived. Two massive hogs suddenly charged out from the forest's edge, racing straight toward the lush cornfield. I held my breath, pulled the trigger. The first shot missed, only making the beast more aggressive. It wasn't until the third shot, after carefully readjusting my aim, that it finally went down. Silence returned instantly. The cornfield was safe, at least for today. Across the field, Alex the seasoned hunter was tracking every move. He placed his rifle firmly on a wooden rest, eyes locked through the scope. When the opportunity came, just a faint pop from the suppressor broke the stillness. A clean, precise shot. No chaos, no noise, but enough to drop the target in an instant. Alex always impressed us with his efficiency, a shadow moving silently through the wilderness. But the battle didn't end there. To the south, Jordan spotted a whole herd emerging from the trees. The scene was like a flood bursting through a broken dam. I fired rapidly, but amid the dust and confusion, only a few were hit while the rest vanished back into the forest as if they had never been there. This fight was far from over. As the sun climbed higher, the hogs retreated deeper into the thickets. That was when the hunt entered a new stage, tracking them into the woods for direct confrontation. Following the scent carried by the wind, the hounds led Tyler's group closer. Soon, the prey was surrounded. The dogs barked fiercely, echoing through the forest. Without hesitation, Tyler raised his rifle, aimed quickly and fired. One single shot ended the standoff. In another part of the woods, Noah the Quiet One was hidden beneath an old oak tree. Just then, a herd of hogs calmly trotted past, as if mocking him. Thinking of the sweet potato fields they had destroyed, Noah steadied his grip, adjusted the sight, and pulled the trigger. One fell, and the rest scattered chaotically into the forest. A scene both wild and strangely relieving. Before we could catch our breath, to the west, Ben the youngest of us spotted a shadow slipping through the tall grass. It thought it had hidden well, but it was mistaken. Ben narrowed his eyes, adjusted his rifle gently, and fired with precision. The sharp cracks rang out, and the hog collapsed amidst the whispering wind. It was not just his personal victory, it was part of the team's collective triumph. Every wild hog removed from the fields meant one less danger to the farmers. Every bullet fired was a promise that those who live by the land, who depend on the harvest, will never stand alone in this fight against nature. Texas remains breathtakingly beautiful, but beneath its calm surface lie untold struggles, resilience, and sacrifice. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, we returned home not to rest, but to prepare for the next battle. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us on the thrilling hunts to come.